Hello, and welcome to this webinar delivered by Mattioli Woods, in which we will look at ways in which you can keep yourself healthy and productive while working from home. First of all, I'd just like to advise that all the information contained in this webinar is correct at the time of recording. We won't be talking about tax, but if we were, it would relate to the tax year 2020 to 2021. I'm sure that you've all heard on more than one occasion that we are living in unprecedented times. As a result of the coronavirus crisis and the government-enforced lockdown, many of us have relocated our office to home. The main objective of this webinar is to provide some easy-to-follow tips on how you can cope with this unusual situation, ensuring that you're able to maintain your personal well-being and be a productive member of the workforce. It is perhaps somewhat ironic that the Office for National Statistics issued data in March this year showing that only about 30% of the UK workforce had ever worked from home in the past. And now millions of us who haven't been furloughed and are therefore still working are doing so in the unusual surroundings of our homes. During this webinar, we will explore what this means to you, setting rules which will help you with your well-being, how we all need to take time to talk, and how we can cope with the additional stresses caused by working from home. I think we can all agree that the current situation we find ourselves in has been a bit of a roller coaster, with regular ups and downs. Even for those of us who formed the 30% in the ONS figures who had worked from home in the past, will acknowledge that this has been difficult. We also need to acknowledge that working from home is not the same for everyone. We all have different home situations which will impact on how easy it has been for us to find a suitable place to work. Furthermore, the people we share our homes with, partners, children, flatmates, or indeed no one if we live alone, may well determine how well we are dealing with working from home. I think we also need to accept that working from home is not everyone's cup of tea. Some people will thrive with the increased flexibility and ability to manage their workloads, while others will struggle and become frustrated with the lack of structure. We have all experienced challenges, software and hardware issues, connectivity and the impact of so many people trying to use broadband at the same time, accessing business servers and secure databases. And it's been a constantly changing environment. When many of us first started working from home, there wasn't the added bonus of having to look after and homeschool children. Some of us may have had to deal with illness amongst our family and friends, or ourselves. I think it's safe to say that it's been a steep learning curve. And although we are probably setting into some sort of routine, we are all aware that the potential issues that might crop up in the future. So let's explore these issues further and see what working from home means for you. We asked people to describe in just a few words what working from home meant to them. And as you'd imagine, the answers covered a whole spectrum of thoughts and emotions. From being welcome when viewed in terms of the alternatives, that is being furloughed or being let go from work, and providing opportunities to develop and grow in a role, through to practical issues, spinning plates, especially for those who have children at home, but then also it might be time saving for those who have had a long commute. For some it is strange and unsettling, difficult and lonely. Lots of different points of view, but perhaps we can all agree that working from home, along with all the issues around the current crisis, is adding significantly to stress and anxiety. As with many things in life, we might be better able to cope with the changes that are currently in play if we can set a set of rules to follow. Well, perhaps not rules, but some guidelines that will help us decide how best to organise our working from home routine. First of all, I think we need to acknowledge that for most people, working from home isn't the norm. It's making the best of an extraordinary situation. Anything we can do to normalise it will help. So consider the following. Set your working hours and let people at home and company management know when you're working and when you're not. Depending on your role and your domestic situation, it might not be best to work the normal 9 till 5. Perhaps starting early in the morning and finishing in the afternoon is more productive. Or working in the evening works better for people who have homeschooling responsibilities. It's obviously important that we carry out our work duties, but it's important that we don't compensate working from home by sitting and working 14 or 16 hours a day. Create signals so people living with you know that you are going to work. This might be, I'll have one last cup of tea and then I'm off to work. Or it could be moving from your office and into your office and closing the door. The signal indicates to everybody, including yourself, that I'm switching from home to work mode now. Find a comfortable, suitable location to work from. We aren't all lucky enough to have a study at home, but if you can find a separate workspace to work from, it will help to put you in a work frame of mind, be an additional signal to the people you live with that you're now starting work, and help you relax after work because you can physically move from the workplace to a relaxation space. Available options for space will vary from person to person, but one guideline to keep in mind is that it is probably never a good idea to work in bed or indeed in your bedroom. Similarly, working in your pajamas might sound like a nice idea, but it sends the wrong signals to you and your family, even if your boss can't see you on the conference call. Making the effort to get dressed, not necessarily into your suit or uniform, is a clear marker that work is on the agenda. Leave the pajama days for the weekend. When you're working from home, it's easy to overdo it, especially if you're on your own and using work to combat boredom. It's vitally important that you switch off and have proper downtime away from work. It's also important to take regular breaks, tea, coffee, lunch, etc. These will not only help in terms of well-being, but will also boost your productivity by keeping you fresh and focused. Why not use a break to get some fresh air and exercise? Working from home can be lonely. Most people will miss the buzz and banter of a busy office. Make sure that you keep in touch with colleagues and try to replicate the coffee room chat with a call to your workmates. Finally, working from home won't work for everybody. Some people find it very difficult to cope for whatever reason. It's important that issues are fed back to your managers. Although, given the circumstances, they may have limited options to help you. They might be able to adjust hours, provide additional communication software, or help with relocating workloads. But if they don't know you're having issues, they won't be able to do anything to help. Working from home can be lonely, and you may start to feel isolated. It's important that you take time to communicate, not just to ensure that you can carry your duties, but also to help with your mental well-being. Humans are social animals. Even the most introverted of us needs to talk and interact with other human beings regularly. Working from home cuts out a considerable amount of our usual interactions. It's vital that these connections are maintained remotely. It's obviously important to talk with family and friends, keeping our personal relationships alive and checking out that our loved ones are well. But what about workmates? Rather than just sending emails to colleagues or clients, if appropriate, pick up the phone and discuss the matter. Talking is likely to solve the issue and move processes forward more quickly than email, and gives you the opportunity to chat and build relationships. We are blessed with a range of technology that allows virtual face-to-face discussions. These may help to keep relationships fresh and can bring some fun to the working from home situation. However, a brief word of warning. There is a growing body of concern around Zoom fatigue. It's been reported that users of video conferencing technology are feeling drained by overuse. This might be due to increased stress of the important meeting via video. There are additional worries about Wi-Fi connections, children interrupting the meeting. There's also the pressure of being on show, especially if the meeting is recorded. There's also an issue of the lack of body language. Although the video meeting is face-to-face, the video conference doesn't provide all the non-verbal clues that we get in a proper meeting. And this can be somewhat distressing and frustrating. Finally, there's the issue of seeing yourself. Often on video conferencing, there's a mirror image that can be an added distraction and a constant stressor. Looking at yourself to seeing, do I look bored? Did I just nod in agreement when I didn't mean to? Try to control the use of video conferencing if it's causing you stress. Just be kind to yourself. Don't be sucked into back-to-back video calls, which will tire you out. When you're on a call, it's a useful tip to take notes, since this will help you concentrate on the words that are spoken rather than the visual images and potentially reduce video stress. Also, it's a good tip to prepare for the meeting on video call. Check for unwanted items that might be in the picture. For instance, last night's wine bottle, underwear on hangers in the bedroom, an unmade bed, etc. And also dress appropriately. As you mentioned before, pajamas aren't a good idea. And also prep the kids and the pets to avoid disturbance. Perhaps putting a sign on the door saying recording or video conferencing process, do not enter. Let's turn now to look at some tips that might only help you survive working from home, but actually thrive. Stress has multiple causes. Could be trying to juggle work and home with the kids, partners, the working from home stress we've already mentioned. There's also issues around personal relationships. In the current situation, you might be isolated from family and friends, or you might be locked down with your better half or kids and wish that you actually were in solo isolation. You might be worried about your own health or that of family and friends. Many people are concerned with the impact of COVID-19 when combined with existing medical conditions, which will increase your anxiety and cause further worries. And then there's finance, money worries. You might be working from home and therefore being paid, but partners might be furloughed or laid off, and job security might also be a concern. All of these problems and issues add to the general sense of pressure. It's easy to say, but one strategy is to concentrate on the matters that you can control and try to put out of your mind the problems that are outside your control. As we've discussed, working from home brings a range of additional stressful situations, but some general strategies will help to control the anxiety. Try to have a positive attitude. Accept there are things, for example, the lockdown, that are outside of your control and will need to be put up with. Look at what is triggering your stress and try to manage it. Take time out. If it helps, try meditation and mindfulness. Even if this isn't for you, take a break and have a coffee or a cup of tea and try and relax. Switch off once work is finished and do something you enjoy. Read a book, watch a film before you go to bed. Look after yourself. It's easy to overeat when working from home. Boredom eating is a real problem. Avoid having treats close to your work location, which makes them convenient to eat while you're working, and put a sign on the fridge saying, you're not hungry, you're bored, leave the food alone. This may help to ensure that you don't overeat while working at your home office. Also, try to eat as well as possible. Eat more fresh fruit and veg and less convenience food. With all the fast food outlets currently closed, there's little excuse for a poor diet. The government have rightly made exercise a priority, so exercise when you can. Walk, run, cycle and get outdoors. It'll help with both your physical and mental well-being. Try and get a good night's sleep. Anxiety and working from home will impact on sleeping patterns. Try to establish a new routine and stick to it as much as possible. As mentioned earlier, don't work in your bedroom if you can avoid it. Going into the bedroom should be a signal to your mind and body that it's time for sleep. Similarly, try not to use devices before going to bed. And be wary of stimulants. Being at home, it's easy to drink more coffee than usual, smoke or vape more, and potentially drink more alcohol. We all have our crutches which we rely on, but be careful of overuse. And keep in touch with friends. A good chat with a friend is a great way to reduce stress. You might also want to consider the 4 A's as a means of coping with stress. Avoid. Try to control what you can to reduce and avoid stressful situations. If you can't avoid, then alter the situation. Tell the people you will live with, workmates, management, what issues are causing you stress, so hopefully they can make allowances and help you. Don't be tough on yourself. Adapt. Look for positives and remember that there is light at the end of the tunnel and we will come through this situation. Accept. Accept the situation. You can't alter government policy or find a cure for COVID-19. Do what you can, be kind to yourself and others, and we'll get through the COVID-19 crisis. Working from home can be stressful, and we will all have our own stress strategies for coping. I hope that you have found this webinar useful, and if things are getting overwhelming, then there might be a trick contained in this webinar that you can use to help you through it. Thank you for listening, and one final thought. It's okay not to be okay. The current crisis is, to use a word that is vastly overused, unprecedented. Be kind to yourself. You're doing great, and you will get through this.